Right, so Ooh. Okay, good evening. Hello and welcome. So this is the introduction to Cafe Rachel Spring. And I always do the main introduction on my main page because I feel that, the people who are in the cafe already know about this. Oh my gosh, my printer's starting to print something. Let's switch that off. See, the joys of working at home is that this is also my office, and when my grandkids come to stay, it's their bedroom. And you don't need much space, and I think this is a good thing about training at home. As long as you've got a little bit of space so you can move around, maybe go a little bit this way, a little bit that way, then everything works out fine. And it's really easy to join in Cafe Rachel because it's all about just switching on your phone, putting me on the telly, whatever works. I want to tell you about what the theme of this cafe is because I think it's really important that we understand that doing exercise is great for us, and there are millions of people out there doing this. But why should you do cafe? What is different about cafe to other workouts? And I would say the thing that I do in cafe that makes a difference is I try to give you as much information as possible about health and well-being and about, hello everybody, everybody's here, about health and well-being and about how the cafe can make you think twice. And it's really interesting because I did my dissertation on motivation and in the last cafe I was looking up some new research that said even if we know exercise is good for us, that is not motivating. What motivates you is when you get the reward. So what is it that you want? Do you want to, fit into your trousers you haven't fitted into for 6 months? Do you want to be able to walk up a hill that you've never been able to walk up? Do you want to get up and down off the floor with your grandchildren, something you couldn't do? Do you want to protect your bones because you know you're at risk of osteoporosis? Do you want to do something about the menopause that is kind of taking bits away from your body that you thought that were going to be there forever? Now they're going, you're kind of like in a panic state, going like, come back, I need you. All of these things make us think twice. And on week 1 in Cafe Rachel, what we do is we work on confidence because confidence to change is key to making things good for you. You are the most important person and you know what you want. And you may not tell anybody about that because sometimes we're quite shy, aren't we? We're quite shy about telling people what we want to do because it makes us feel vulnerable, or we kind of think like, now I've said it, I've got to live up to it because everybody will know, or we think people will laugh at us. And I put in the post yesterday about how difficult it is if you've had a horrid experience at school where you were told you were useless or you were too fat or you were too slow, or somebody once told me it was used as a demonstration of how not to do an exercise. I'm hoping PA teachers are a little bit nicer these days. But all of those things can stick with you because our brains at that point are really kind of like sponges, aren't they? Absorbing all the information. And you then might think to yourself, I am not capable of exercise. And I want you to understand that the body is this living thing that responds to any kind of stuff that we do to it. So if we give the body stillness, it usually gets stiffer. If we give it movement, it becomes easier to use. Think of yourself like a bit of plasticine. You need to move around. So how do we change confidence? One of the things I find really interesting is that confidence relies on a certain number of things. First of all, you have to decide you want to do it. Me telling you to do exercise is not motivating. It might be motivating for once, but it doesn't sustain your motivation. So understanding what you want is key. Write it down. You don't have to share it with anybody. Write it down what you want. One of my goals, which I still kind of work on, is I wanted to be happy. And I think that meant like an absence of the niggles or the things that annoyed me. So changing my world, so be happy. The second thing that really helps is called competence. And competence means that you are able to do the thing you want to do. So say like if I wanted to run a marathon, I'm not sure I could do it. So my confidence is affected. But maybe if I had a running coach and I gave myself a year of training, maybe I could do it. And so understanding the bits we need to practice on in order to get better enough to do the things we want to do is key. Because That is where we want to be. If we want to play the piano, we have to do scales. If you want to be good at exercise, you have to be consistent. Now, what's really, really interesting, and you can go and look at that because I love Andrew Huberman's podcast. So this week or last week, he had one of the top researchers, Rhonda, who talks about a new project that said doing 3 minutes of hard exercise a day, so that you did 9 minutes a week, made a significant difference to your health. That kind of thing is really motivating for me because I don't know about you, but I am time pressured. I've got a house to run, I've got a business to run, I've got my 90-year-old mother living with us at the moment, I've got grandchildren, I've got 4 kids. There's a lot going on. So thinking I could do 20 minutes in the morning before everything starts is good for me because it means I can get it done. I don't have to drive anywhere, I don't have to go anywhere. That works well for me. And then the final thing that makes you stick at exercise is your community, which you might think doesn't work online, but let me tell you it does. Because sometimes chatting to people online is quite easy because you can just write a text, you can read it before you send it, you can think twice about how you're going to say things. It's not so socially awkward as meeting somebody in person where you have to talk to them because you might feel a bit shy. And when you build a community together, they motivate you because somebody will post something really funny about what they did or where they've been on holiday, what they've eaten, or, things why they haven't been able to do exercise recently. And somebody usually says, me too. And the minute you say me too, you understand that you're not alone. So what else am I covering in the cafe apart from confidence? Well, number one, I'm going to cover arthritis because I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, I get more achy joints and I still want to be active. So how can I protect my achy joints? The other thing I'm going to look at is metabolism, because whilst we can all know about what we should and what we shouldn't eat and, what diet nutrition we should be doing, how do I maximize my metabolism so that when I'm eating stuff, I'm making the best use of how my body works? Because listen, if you're somebody like me, okay, and I'm 64 in about 3 months' time, if you're somebody like me, you need to understand that when your body changes, your food doesn't get absorbed in the same way. Your gut works differently. You don't absorb the protein in the same way. You might need to take supplements. So we're going to talk about supplements. We're going to talk about the risks of type 2 diabetes. We're going to talk about why do we accumulate more belly fat as we get older and how can we address that. We're also going to look at balance because a lot of people will have balance issues. You might have vertigo, okay, so posterior vertigo where you feel dizzy all the time. You might find that getting up and down off the floor to do Pilates is challenging for you. You might also find that, you're getting a bit more nervous about walking and going different places. So let's have a look at balance, but let's have a look at it also from a fitness point of view. So if you are somebody who's active, then having a look at what's called motor fitness, MOTOR, like a motor car. But how do we kind of take you from being a Skoda to a Ferrari or something like that? How do we do that? What can we do in terms of training to be able to do that? Hello, everybody from Oklahoma. Hi, Anne. How are you? So it's really interesting. So Anne's posted there. She's from Oklahoma. So it's been really fun on the cafe to find out where people are from and how they got dragged into the cafe in the first place, because there's hundreds of us in the cafe and from all over the world, from New Zealand to America to Bratislava to England, Scotland and even Ireland. So all over the country. And that's the other joy, is that you can meet with your friend online, or sometimes we get mother-daughters coming online together to have that shared experience of going for a workout when you don't live in the same place. The final element that we're going to be looking at is kind of how do we bring this all together? How do we do something that's to do with planning? Because with the best will in the world, we can get excited about maybe change, but how do we activate our dopamine cycle? How do we help ourselves sleep a bit better? How do we deal with stress? How do we get stronger? But life gets in the way. So how do we set in place schemes of work that work for us? How do we go about understanding where our energy lies in the day. Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? Are you somebody who likes to work shifts? Are you somebody who has to go away for work and, your routine is not the same every week? Understanding those cycles means that you can plan. And to help you with that, not only do we teach live on Facebook, but everything is then put on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube, which is great because you can put it on your telly. Not that I'm keen on seeing myself on telly. And when you see me on telly, I'm a bit bigger and it's a bit easier to see because sometimes your phone is a bit small. There's also an app that you can take it with you. So if you go on holiday, you've got your app, you can download the videos off the app and you can just watch them in your own time. We have people on holiday who still join in the cafe, shouting out to all of you lot in Spain and Fuerteventura, having a lovely time, but still training. And that's the other thing, is that 20 minutes is doable. We do classes first thing in the morning. First thing for me, 7:30. I'm not that 6 o'clock in the morning exercise person. We'll come back to that. And then we do a couple of shorter sessions in the evening, usually a 20-minute and a 35-minute class, or a 35 or 40-minute talk. There are 3 separate talks in the week. The first talk is in depth about the theme of the week. The second talk is like a kind of bolt-on, usually to do with nutrition. So say, for example, we're talking about maximising metabolism. In the talk, we'll be talking about supplements and protein, collagen, that kind of thing. How can that help us? And then on the Saturday morning, we also then talk about how do we pull together what we've done in a week. So I'm a big fan of reflective journaling. Thanks to my lovely boss from HR in the university, Emma, who taught me the value of understanding what happened. Doesn't mean that we say like, oh, I did this well, or I did that badly. It's kind of go like, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? How can I make it work better? And so I might give you stuff like this. So this is the other thing that happens. You have a full booklet of over 25 pages of weekly themes. You have additional information. So this is week 5. Okay, so we'll tell you what the week is about. This time we're doing 3 words. And this came from looking at a podcast. You sometimes get information from somebody else, don't you? So looking at a podcast about how do we pick 3 words that inspire us. Okay, so this week I want to say things like, I'm going to be determined, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to enjoy. So my 3 words would be determination, enjoyment, whatever else to put in it. Thorough, okay? But you can pick your own 3 words. So instead of writing a whole list, you can write that out. Then we go through the kind of in-depth things we're going to cover. Then at the end of the week, we have goal setting. And this is where reflective journaling come in, is how maybe sometimes I say to you, try to do 3 things that kind of meet your task that you want to do, or how did you feel about that exercise? And then usually it is then about how you're going to then change to how you're going to do it next week. Alongside every single week, you also have like a slightly more kind of a blog kind of post thing about what we're talking about. Because when we're exercising, because it's only 20 minutes, we get on with it. And the classes range. So you're not expected to do them all, luckily, because there's a lot of them. But what you're expected to do is to have a look at the classes that suit you. So you could be somebody who maybe has an injury, or maybe you've got some kind of accessibility issue that you need to deal with, and you can choose the gentler sessions. So some of the gentler sessions I also find are really helpful for anybody with all kinds of fitness level. One of them is a stretch and breathwork class. And again, dealing with stress and helping us sleep has been highlighted as an issue. So a 20-minute breathwork class, and you have 6 of them that you can revisit. And I try and change them slightly. So normally, say, like if it's in an everyday class, we would do like a theme along maybe 5 or 6 weeks. This time we do 1 theme a week. So you've got kind of different feels to each one. We've also got a class called Core and Restore. And the Core and Restore is based around my back care classes, and usually I'm teaching the things about how we do them in back care. So for example, on that week there might be goal setting with some exercise sheets to say, like, why don't you film yourself and see how well you're doing the exercises compared to the instructions, so you can see where you're improving. And I call this my personal training, because I think people ask me for personal training, but I could give 1 hour to one person, or I could give 20 hours to 100 people. I'd rather do the 20 hours to 100 people. And I think understanding things like our metabolism, understanding type 2 diabetes, understanding supplements, collagen and protein, understanding menopause maybe, or hormonal health, because we all go through hormonal health issues, is really helpful. So I do this on my main page because I think it's worthwhile sharing the information, because if you don't understand what the cafe is about, you're never going to be interested in it. But if you are interested in it, have a look at some of the comments that people are putting down here, because these are people who've been in the cafe for a long time. It works like this. I teach live on a private Facebook group. You can join in that private live session with me at the time that's stated on the timetable. But if you like a lie-in, or you're working, or you're busy, or you're on holiday, you can go back into the Facebook page, go into the events, or go into the media, find the video on Facebook and watch it again. Facebook allows you to keep these live videos active onto the system for 28 days only. So what I do every day is I download that video and I put it onto the YouTube channel that is private. I will then email you the links for every single class at the end of the week, so that you can keep it in an Excel sheet, and you have that forever. I don't think YouTube deletes any of the videos. So if ever in maybe 6 months' time you think like, oh, I could really do with breathwork class, I could really do with a stretch class, or I really fancy doing a kettlebell workout, then go and do it. We do weight training practically every day, because that is super important as we get older. We do Pilates 4 times a week, because that is super important. But also we do cardio fitness. So we do a metabolic workout on a Monday. We do a cardio workout on a Wednesday, and we do a functional fitness workout on a Friday. That is to keep our heart rate up. And this is the only place I really teach a standing Pilates as well. And standing Pilates is where I began the cafe when we were in that lockdown and we didn't have much space, and we adapted. So I'm off now, and I'm going to teach my first class. So tonight we have kettlebell conditioning. And if you've never done kettlebells, let me tell you, it's a really good way to be able to build up bone mass density for many people. It's not suitable for everybody. So after that, we have then a 35-minute matwork Pilates class based around some of the more classical moves of Pilates. Tomorrow morning, we do a 20-minute barbell workout that you can do with dumbbells. And in the evening, we have a talk. On Wednesday morning, we do a dumbbell workout, we do a cardio workout, and we do core and restore. Thursday, we do Pilates. Thursday evening, we do the diet nutrition talk. Friday morning, we do breath work, functional fitness. Saturday morning, we do standing Pilates and Motivate Me. You have 6 weeks, 6 classes. It's £1 a day. If you want to join, go to my website, type in Cafe Rachel, it'll come up. I need to go now because I'm ready. Look. I'm ready. I got my trainers on. My room's ready. My music is actually playing, because if I switch it off, it's a real pain in the butt. And I've got my kettlebell. I hope you've enjoyed. Please post any questions either below if you want to. Remember, everybody sees that. Or if you want, private message me or send me a WhatsApp. Take care. I hope you've enjoyed. Hwyl fawr.